Hello everyone and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined as ever by Ewan Patterson for some more Star Wars news. EA has been doing what they have called a fireside chat with CEO Andrew Wilson, and they have been talking about the future of the franchise, where they're going to take Star Wars games for the next generation of consoles, which is quite interesting because the last time we reported on this, Ewan, correct me if I'm wrong, we were wondering whether or not the deal with Disney that has been in place since 2013 was kind of going to go down the toilet. That's up for renewal, I think, in 2023. So, not long away when it comes to, putting new games into production. But it seems like they are at least erring on the side of optimism in that case and are hoping to continue this relationship through to the next generation and beyond with even more Star Wars games.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty funny that they chose the fireside chat kind of thing. I mean, the president that I wouldn't think of EA as would not be Franklin Delano Roosevelt, but going ahead, yeah, they called it a webinar as well, like a seminar, but it was on the web, which I always thought was... Anyway, we're getting distracted here. The news isn't too surprising to me, to be brutally honest. I know after the Battlefront 2 microtransaction thing, we had the whole kind of rumours that Mickey Mouse himself got on the phone to Blake Jorgensen and was like, haha, what are you doing here, haha? But that definitely didn't happen, I don't think. And the story since has been much better for EA. They really did turn a corner with Battlefront 2 and then killed support for it, which I'm still not over. Fallen Order was a fantastic single-player Star Wars game, and now we have Star Wars Squadrons to look forward to as well. And, the fact that they used the phrase double down on the Star Wars license here is very interesting, and I do think this maybe points towards a new strategy from the company. I don't think we'll be seeing as many, I say this as many in the sense that we've only had 3 AAA Star Wars games in the entire tenure, but I definitely think in terms of diversifying the product, it won't just be every 2 to 3 years we will get a Battlefront or a Fallen Order or something along those lines. I think they're going to be doing more Star Wars Squadrons style games going forward, where they kind of a lower price point, but still compelling, fun Star Wars titles, kind of like what we had in the heyday of LucasArts, where there were like 5 Star Wars games releasing every year. I mean, 2005, you had Star Wars Battlefront 2, you had Republic Commando, you had the Revenge of the Sith game, you had Lego Star Wars. That year was mad for Star Wars games, and there was a time where you had simply, dozens of them, and I think we can all agree, despite the fact that in this conference call, they did say that they were proud of what they've done with Star Wars so far in terms of, the output that they've maintained and the diversity across different genres. I think we can all agree that EA's tenure so far hasn't been up to snuff in terms of output and also controversy. So it's interesting to see, how they're learning their lessons slowly, I think. And I'm looking forward to Squadrons. I'm of course looking forward to Fallen Order 2 as well. But here's hoping this new strategy of doubling down isn't a case of, almost like a FIFA or a Madden type thing, and more of a case of looking to apply the Star Wars license more wisely and not putting all their eggs in one basket and then getting bored with the project and then cancelling it.
Yeah, oh man, 100%. I feel like over the past few years especially, exactly what you just said there, they seem like they finally, or at least starting to learn from their mistakes. They have had so many cancelled projects like you just hinted towards as well. We have only really seen that kind of diversity and that breadth of content that they talk about in this interview, this fireside chat. Over the past few years, with the likes of the upcoming Squadrons and Fallen Order returning to a single player focus. And I think it's interesting that I don't think you should ever romanticize the past, with the exception of Star Wars games, because I don't think we ever knew how good we had it with the amount and variety of titles that were available, because over the past, or at least EA's tenure with the series, like you said, it felt at first like a kind of very FIFA or Madden approach, where we were getting Battlefront, we were getting Battlefront 2, we had these other series that were in the works, but they didn't really turn out well because they weren't focusing on multiplayer or whatever. But it seems like, taking these quotes in the kind of spirit that I hope they're supposed to be taken in, we will be seeing more diversity going forward. To get some exact quotes, Andrew Wilson said, "We've had success in first-person shooters and RPGs and action-adventure in MMORPGs in mobile, and I believe we're going to have success with Squadrons as well." About Squadrons specifically, he did say that obviously, it's not a AAA $60 game. I think it's $39.99 that it's going for. Either way, it's, the expectations are lower than than something like a Battlefront or a Star Wars Fallen Order. They didn't release the exact amount of copies sold that they want to achieve, but I think like Squadrons is going to be make or break, I think, for this kind of model going forward, where we can have the big hitters, we can have the big franchises sitting snugly amongst the more experimental games. And, you know, for EA and Andrew Wilson's credit, they do mention that when it comes to their relationship with Disney, they do have the opportunity to, you know, create characters for the canon and not just focus on the movies that are out or the wider tie-in materials and kind of play within those rules. They get to define their own gaming legacy in a way, and I want to see them double down on that going forward. I want to see them, you know, create these new characters, explore these new periods and these new eras of Star Wars in the great way that Fallen Order did with its new cast of characters and you know, stuff like that. So when they talk about double downing on this universe, that's the area I want to see them do it in.
Yeah, I completely agree. The relationship, you know, they spoke here that the, you know, Star Wars: The Old Republic came out in 2011, which was 9 years ago. So they've been working with Star Wars. Yeah, they've been working with Star Wars for nearly a decade now, which is completely bonkers. But yeah, the relationship that, you know, EA has with Lucasfilm and Lucasfilm Story Group, you know, I'm a big fan of the new Star Wars canon. I really like how everyone is kind of working in tandem to build something that's ultimately a lot more cohesive than what we had before. And, you know, Star Wars Battlefront 2, you see that story referenced in different novels, different comics. You have all sorts of different things, and they feed back into each other. So that's a very, very good thing that I'm excited about going forward. In terms of Star Wars games that I'd like to see more of, I feel as though Star Wars Racer getting its remaster release this week, that's a pretty timely example of, you know, ways that you could apply the Star Wars license more incisively and you know, more subtly, and more, you know, realizing that Star Wars in itself isn't beholden to any one particular genre. It doesn't have to be an action-adventure game. It doesn't have to be a first-person or third-person shooter. You can make Star Wars fit in a variety of different franchises, just like the films themselves. You know, they're both westerns and fantasy epics and everything that sort of, you know, all those different things that they encompass. So I would like to see a new Star Wars Racer. I'm very happy, you know, Starfighter game was the thing that was at the top of my wish list for EA going forward, because I love the Rogue Squadron series. I love any kind of fighter pilot story, so I'm very excited for Squadrons. But certainly going forward, I want to see more experiences along the lines of Star Wars Racer, or maybe even, you know, more strategy games like Empire at War. Maybe we could get a new version of that going. Stuff like that, basically. And obviously, you know, we did see other genres attempt to kind of get leeway or headway before they were cancelled, like Project Ragtag and the other Project Orca as well. So I feel as though as long as EA are realising and, you know, are aware that Star Wars can fit a variety of different genres, we should be okay. And I'm happy with having these smaller titles to supplement the bigger releases as and when they do arrive.
Yeah, no, you make a great point. Like, I think over, not even in EA's tenure, I think it was starting to seep in even before then, that, you know, when we thought about Star Wars games, like you said, it was either going to be this kind of first-person shooter experience, or it was going to be this third-person action-adventure style game. Whereas, like you said, the franchise in general is so malleable, and we've seen on the big screen, we've seen in comics, we've seen in novels, you know, how easily it fits across different genres, and you would assume different gameplay styles. So I think that's something that EA should double down on, even if it's in, again, like you said, with the smaller releases. If that's a space where they get to experiment and deliver kind of riskier, more experimental titles, I would totally be okay with that, because, you know, there is a kind of expectation that the bigger games that cost $100 million to produce or whatever have to be kind of bankable franchises, at least from their perspective. So to have kind of, you know, like EA, for as much crap as we give them, they do have that EA Originals label where you get a lot of great kind of more experimental titles. So if they had kind of an offshoot of that when it came to the Star Wars license in general, I just think that would be a great way to go that would also make the company less stressed about making all the money in the world off a Star Wars game every single time, you know, a new movie or something like that comes out. And I hope, you know, judging off these comments going forward, that we start to see that, you know, come to fruition, especially with the possibilities of the next gen. Like, they haven't really talked too much about what as a company they want to achieve. You know, they had EA Play last week, They had an EA Play last week, obviously, where they showed off kind of like the sizzle reel of what we can expect from Battlefield and, you know, the sports games. But we haven't kind of seen their mission statement as a whole company, which franchises we're going to see pop up, which new IP we're going to see kind of come to the forefront. And I think it's, you know, it's an exciting time, and hopefully, again, I have to say I'm cautiously optimistic for this new approach to kind of play out over the next 10 years if they renew the deal or something like that. It seems like they're very keen to continue working with Disney, continue making Star Wars games, and hopefully learning from the mistakes of the past. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think about the possibility of EA continuing Star Wars into the near future? Let us know down in the comments. And while you're there, could you give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture.com for more list news like this every single day. Even if you don't, though, I've been Josh. You can follow me on Twitter at JoshBroom with 2 O's, joined as ever by Ewan Patterson, who you can follow on Twitter at
Ewan Ruins Things.
And we will see you soon.